The hospital's entrance buzzed with its usual rhythm. Nurses scurried with charts, patients waited in line, and the faint smell of antiseptic filled the air. But everything froze when a man burst through the double doors, carrying a frail girl in his arms. "Doctor! Please, she's about to give birth!" Liam's voice was raw, trembling with urgency. Heads turned in shock as they saw Mia, a petite figure wrapped in a simple white dress. Her face, as youthful as a child's, contorted in pain. The scene seemed surreal, her small frame and swollen belly a glaring contradiction. Whispers erupted like wildfire among onlookers, but Liam ignored them, his only focus on the girl in his arms. A nurse rushed forward, her professionalism barely masking the disbelief in her wide eyes. "Get a stretcher now," she barked into the intercom. Turning to Mia, she crouched and whispered gently, "Hold on, sweetie. We're going to help you." Mia whimpered softly, her voice almost inaudible. "It hurts." As the stretcher arrived, Liam hesitated when a nurse blocked his path. "Sir, you can't go any further," she said firmly, yet compassionately. "We'll take care of her." "I can't leave her alone," Liam insisted, his voice breaking. "She's my responsibility." The nurse's gaze softened, but her tone remained resolute. "We'll do everything we can. Please, let us do our job." Behind them, the waiting room filled with murmurs. "She looks like a child," someone whispered, horrified. "And the man with her, he must be the one responsible," another spat. The judgments hung heavy in the air, but Liam sat in the corner, his head buried in his hands, trying to block out the noise. Inside the operating room, chaos reigned. Dr. Carter, a seasoned physician with decades of experience, scrubbed his hands methodically, his mind racing. What kind of monster would put a child through this? He thought, glancing at Mia, who lay unconscious on the operating table. "Vitals are stable," a nurse reported, her voice tense. Dr. Carter nodded. "Prepare for an emergency C-section. We don't have time to lose." As he began the procedure, his practiced hands faltered slightly, his mind unable to reconcile the contradiction before him. Despite Mia's youthful appearance, her internal organs were fully developed, like those of an adult woman. "This doesn't make sense," he murmured, drawing the head nurse's attention. "What is it, doctor?" she asked, her tone a mix of concern and curiosity. "She's physically an adult on the inside," Dr. Carter said, his voice heavy with disbelief. "Yet, her appearance suggests otherwise. This case is unlike anything I've seen." Meanwhile, back in the waiting room, the tension reached a boiling point. Liam remained seated, his face buried in his hands, but the whispers around him grew louder. "We should call the police," an older man declared, glaring at Liam. "This isn't right." A younger man stood up, his fists clenched. "I can't believe someone would do this to a child. It's disgusting." "I need everyone to calm down," a nurse interjected, her voice firm as she tried to restore order. But before the tension could dissipate, the younger man marched over to Liam and grabbed his collar, lifting him from his seat. "You think you can just walk in here like nothing's wrong?" he roared. "What did you do to her?" "No, wait, please, you don't understand," Liam protested, his voice trembling. "There's nothing to understand," the man shouted, shaking him violently. "Let him go." Another nurse rushed over, stepping between them. "This is a hospital, not a courtroom. The authorities are already on their way." Reluctantly, the man released Liam, who stumbled back into his chair, his chest heaving. The nurse crouched beside him, her expression a mix of frustration and sympathy. "Sir," she said softly, "we need to know the truth. What happened to her?" Liam's voice cracked as he whispered, "She's not what you think. She's my wife. She's 25. The nurse blinked, her composure slipping for a moment. "What did you just say?" "She has a medical condition," Liam continued, desperation lacing his voice. "She looks young, but she's an adult. I swear." Before the nurse could respond, the doors swung open, and 2 police officers entered the room. Their expressions were grave as they approached Liam. "Sir, we need you to come with us," one officer said, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. "But Mia, she needs me," Liam exclaimed, panic overtaking him. "She's in good hands," the officer assured him, "but we need to clear some things up." As Liam was escorted out, the whispers resumed, now louder and more accusatory. He kept his head down, every step feeling like a march of shame. Back in the operating room, the tension finally broke as the first cries of a newborn filled the air. "It's a boy," Dr. Carter announced, lifting the baby gently. Relief washed over the medical team as they worked to stabilize Mia. "Doctor," a nurse ventured cautiously, "what do you think is going on here?" Dr. Carter glanced at Mia, still unconscious but stable. "I don't know," he admitted, "but something tells me this is only the beginning." The operating room hummed with tension, each second measured by the ticking of the clock and the rapid beeping of the monitors. Dr. Carter's hands moved deftly, but his mind remained consumed by the anomaly before him. Mia's tiny frame lay still, her youthful face serene in contrast to the grueling battle her body was enduring. "Scalpel," he said firmly, breaking the tense silence. A nurse handed him the instrument, her eyes darting nervously to the unconscious girl. "Doctor, is she going to make it?" she asked softly, her voice almost trembling. Dr. Carter didn't look up. "She's strong. Let's focus on delivering the baby first," he replied, his voice steady but filled with determination. As he made the incision, his brow furrowed. Mia's internal anatomy defied everything he'd assumed about her. Her organs were perfectly developed, resembling those of a healthy adult woman. It was a stark contradiction to her childlike exterior. "This case, it's unprecedented," he muttered under his breath. "What do you mean?" Mrs. Collins, the head nurse, asked, sensing the gravity in his tone. "She looks like a child, but her body says otherwise," Dr. Carter explained, glancing up briefly. "Her uterus, ovaries, everything is developed like a woman in her 20s. The medical team exchanged uneasy glances but remained silent. They had a job to do. After several minutes of meticulous work, the operating room was filled with the loud, clear cry of a newborn. "It's a boy," Dr. Carter announced, holding the baby up for a moment before handing him off to the nurses. Mia stirred slightly on the table, her face pale but peaceful. Dr. Carter leaned closer to her, his voice soft yet resolute. "You did it, Mia. Your baby is safe." As the team worked to stabilize her, Dr. Carter's mind remained restless. This was no ordinary case. He knew he needed answers, not just for Mia's sake, but for the truth that might lie behind her condition. Meanwhile, the waiting room was a battlefield of whispers, accusations, and rising tempers. Liam, now sitting alone on a metal chair, kept his head down as a storm of judgment brewed around him. "Did you see her? She's no older than 10, a woman hissed, clutching her own pregnant belly protectively. "And he brought her in like it's nothing?" another man added, his tone laced with disgust. Liam's hands trembled, his knuckles white as he clenched them together. The words stung, but he couldn't afford to break. Not now. Not when Mia needed him most. "Sir!" a voice rang out, cutting through the tension. A nurse approached him, her expression a mix of curiosity and compassion. "The police will want a statement from you. Is there anything you can tell us about what happened to her?" Liam looked up, his red-rimmed eyes pleading. "You don't understand," he began, his voice cracking. "Mia is my wife. She's 25 years old. She has a condition, hypopituitarism. It stunts her growth." The nurse blinked, caught off guard by his words. "Are you saying she's not a child?" "She's not," Liam insisted, his voice rising slightly. "She's an adult. But people always assume..." Before the nurse could respond, the doors to the waiting room slammed open and 2 police officers strode in. Their presence silenced the murmurs instantly. "Mr. Liam Jones?" one officer asked, his tone professional but firm. Liam stood, his knees shaking slightly. "That's me." "We've received reports of a serious situation involving a minor," the officer continued. "We need you to come with us to clarify some details." "No," Liam protested, his voice trembling. "You have it all wrong. She's my wife. Mia is an adult. She just..." "Save it for the station," the second officer interrupted, his hand resting on the pair of cuffs at his side. "We'll sort everything out there." As the officers escorted Liam out, the room erupted into a cacophony of whispers once more. "Good riddance," a man muttered. "They should lock him up," another added. Liam kept his gaze on the floor, each step feeling heavier than the last. His mind raced with fears for Mia and their newborn son. "Back in the operating room, Doctor." Carter was finishing the procedure. Mia had been moved to recovery, and the baby was safely nestled in a bassinet nearby. He peeled off his gloves and looked at Mrs. Collins, his mind made up. "I need to speak to the authorities," Dr. Carter said, his tone resolute. "This case isn't what it seems, and they need to hear the truth before it's too late." The police station was cold and sterile, its fluorescent lights casting an unforgiving glare over the grey interrogation room. Liam sat at the metal table, his hands cuffed in front of him. His heart pounded as the detectives entered, their expressions serious and unreadable. "Liam Jones," Detective Parker began, dropping a thick folder onto the table. "You've been accused of some very serious crimes. We need you to explain yourself." Liam looked up, his voice trembling. "You're making a mistake. Mia is my wife. She's 25 years old. She has a medical condition that makes her look younger." Detective Davis crossed his arms, his tone skeptical. "A convenient excuse, don't you think? You expect us to believe that?" "It's not an excuse," Liam shot back, desperation creeping into his voice. "She has hypopituitarism. It affects her growth. She's been dealing with this her whole life. I can get you the medical records." Parker leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Then why didn't you mention this earlier? Why do people at the hospital think she's a child?" "Because they judge by appearances," Liam said, his voice breaking. "Everywhere we go, people assume the worst. But Mia is an adult. She's my wife, and now she's the mother of my child." Before the detectives could press further, the door swung open, and a lawyer stepped inside. "I'm Mr. Williams, representing Mr. Jones," he announced, his voice firm. "I'd like to have a word with my client." The detectives exchanged glances before leaving the room. Once they were gone, Mr. Williams sat across from Liam, his expression a mix of concern and determination. "Liam, I've spoken with Mia," the lawyer began. "She's stable, and the baby is healthy. But this situation is serious. We need proof of her condition to clear your name." Liam nodded, his relief tempered by worry. "She has medical records. Her doctor can confirm everything." "I've already contacted the hospital," Williams assured him. "Dr. Carter is cooperating, and we're working to get those records. But until then, you need to stay calm. Let me handle the questions." When the detectives returned, Williams handed them a preliminary document. "This is proof of Mia's medical condition," he said. "Her appearance is the result of hypopituitarism. We'll provide full records shortly." Parker scanned the document, his expression softening slightly. "If this checks out, it changes things," he admitted. "It will," Williams replied confidently. "But until then, my client won't answer any more questions." Back at the hospital, Mia lay in the recovery room, cradling her newborn son. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered to him, "You're safe now, little one. Mommy's here." Dr. Carter entered the room, his face serious but kind. "Mia, I need to ask you some questions," he said gently. "The authorities are looking into this situation, and they need to understand your condition." Mia nodded, adjusting the baby in her arms. "I've had hypopituitarism since I was a child. It affects my growth and makes me look younger than I am. But I'm an adult. I've been married to Liam for 3 years." Dr. Carter listened carefully, then placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We're gathering your medical records to clear things up. Liam told the truth, but people need evidence. Don't worry. We'll sort this out." Just then, a nurse entered with a worried expression. "Dr. Carter, the police are here. They want to speak to Mia." "No," Dr. Carter said firmly. "She just gave birth and needs rest. I'll speak to them myself." The nurse nodded and left. Turning back to Mia, "Doctor," Carter reassured her, "focus on recovering. I'll handle this." Dr. Carter met the officers in a private room, presenting them with the preliminary medical records. "These documents confirm Mia's condition," he explained. "She's an adult with a rare disorder that stunts her physical growth. Her husband, Liam, has been unfairly judged because of her appearance." Detective Parker reviewed the files, his expression thoughtful. "This aligns with what Liam told us. We'll release him while we verify everything." Back at the station, Liam was freed, his heart racing as he was escorted back to the hospital. When he entered Mia's room, his breath caught at the sight of her holding their son. "Mia," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. "Liam," she replied, her voice filled with emotion. "They told me you're free. I was so scared." He rushed to her side, wrapping his arms around her and their baby. "I'm here now. Everything's going to be okay." Dr. Carter watched the reunion from the doorway, a faint smile on his lips. Turning to the nurse beside him, he said, "This family has been through enough. Let's make sure they get the care they need." Over the next few days, the truth spread throughout the hospital, silencing the rumors and judgment. Nurses and patients who had doubted Liam now offered their apologies. One evening, a nurse approached Liam as he held his son. "I misjudged you," she admitted. "But seeing how much you love your family, it's inspiring." "Thank you," Liam replied, his voice steady. "All I've ever wanted was to protect them." Mia smiled at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You're my rock, Liam. I don't know what I'd do without you." Dr. Carter entered with good news. "Mia, your recovery is going well. With some rest, you'll be ready to go home soon." Liam and Mia exchanged a look of relief. They had faced judgment, fear, and pain, but their love had carried them through. As they looked down at their son, they knew they were ready to start their new chapter, together. Days passed, and the hospital settled into a quieter rhythm, though Mia's case remained the talk of the corridors. Nurses exchanged stories of the young-looking woman with the newborn and her devoted husband, while patients speculated about the truth behind the rumors. Inside Mia's room, the atmosphere was warm. Liam sat beside her, holding their baby boy, whom they had named Noah. Mia leaned against the pillows, her face still pale but radiant with love. "You're getting the hang of it," Mia teased as Liam carefully cradled Noah, his expression a mix of pride and nervousness. "Hey, I've only dropped the diaper once," Liam joked, his tone light but affectionate. "That's a win." A knock at the door interrupted their moment. Nurse Collins entered, carrying a tray of food. "Good morning, Mia. Feeling better today?" "A little," Mia replied, managing a small smile. "Thank you for everything." The nurse placed the tray on the bedside table and hesitated. "Mia, I wanted to say, I misjudged you at first. Seeing how strong you are and how much Liam loves you, it's inspiring. Your family is beautiful." Mia's eyes welled with tears. "Thank you. That means a lot." As the nurse left, Liam leaned closer to Mia. "You've won everyone over, you know." Mia laughed softly. "Maybe, but all I care about is us being together." Outside their room, a small crowd of reporters had gathered in the lobby, drawn by whispers of Mia's unique condition and the family's story. Hospital security worked to keep them at bay, but their cameras and questions lingered. "Can we get a comment from the family?" one journalist shouted. "Is it true Mia has a rare medical condition?" another asked. Dr. Carter, walking past with a clipboard, stopped and turned to the group. "This is a hospital, not a press conference," he said sternly. "The family deserves privacy. Please respect that." Inside, unaware of the commotion, Liam and Mia focused on their son. But the weight of their situation wasn't lost on them. After a week of recovery, the day finally arrived for Mia to go home. The morning sun streamed through the hospital windows, signaling a fresh start. Dr. Carter entered the room with a smile. "Mia, you're ready," he said. "Your recovery has been remarkable. With some rest and follow-up care, you'll be just fine." Mia beamed, relief washing over her. "Thank you, Dr. Carter, for everything." Liam stood, his voice filled with gratitude. "We can't thank you enough. You believed in us when no one else did." Dr. Carter nodded. "You've shown incredible strength as a family. That's what truly matters." Moments later, Liam gently helped Mia into a wheelchair. Noah nestled in her arms. As they made their way to the hospital's exit, they were greeted by a wave of camera flashes and reporters. "Mia! Liam! How do you feel about leaving the hospital?" one reporter called out. "Are you worried about public perception?" another asked. Liam stopped, holding up his hand to quiet the crowd. His voice was calm but firm. "We're grateful for the care Mia received and for those who supported us. Our focus is on our family and moving forward." Mia nodded, her voice soft but steady. "This has been a challenging journey, but love and understanding have carried us through. That's what we want people to take from our story." With that, the family made their way to the car, leaving the noise behind. The drive home was quiet, filled with moments of reflection. When they arrived, Liam opened the door to their small but cozy home. "Welcome home," he said, his voice filled with warmth. Mia stepped inside, clutching Noah tightly. "It feels so good to be back," she whispered. Over the next few days, they adjusted to their new routine. Liam proved to be an attentive and loving father, waking up in the middle of the night to soothe Noah and ensuring Mia had everything she needed. "You're amazing," Mia said one evening as Liam prepared a bottle for Noah. "So are you," Liam replied, sitting beside her. "We're in this together." Their bond grew stronger, each challenge reinforcing their love. Despite the attention and whispers from the outside world, their home became a sanctuary, a place where they could focus on what truly mattered. As the weeks passed, neighbors began to notice the little family. One afternoon, an elderly woman named Mrs. Harris knocked on their door, holding a basket of baked goods. "I've heard about your story," she said kindly. "I just wanted to say you're an inspiration. It's clear how much you love each other." "Thank you," Mia said, her voice filled with emotion. "You remind us all what's important," Mrs. Harris added. "Family, love, perseverance." As Mia and Liam settled in for the evening, Noah asleep in his crib, they reflected on how far they'd come. "We've been through so much," Mia said softly, leaning against Liam. "But we've made it," Liam replied, wrapping his arm around her. "And we'll face whatever comes next, together." The night stretched on, peaceful and full of promise. Their love, tested by judgment and adversity, had emerged stronger than ever. The warm rays of the afternoon sun streamed through the living room windows, casting a golden glow over the small family. 6-year-old Noah ran through the house, his laughter echoing as he darted past Mia and Liam, who sat on the couch. "Slow down, buddy. You'll trip over that toy," Liam called out, grinning. Noah skidded to a halt and picked up the airplane he had left on the floor. "I won't, Dad. I'm a pro pilot." Mia chuckled softly, leaning against Liam. "He's growing so fast. It feels like just yesterday we were bringing him home from the hospital." Liam wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "He's our miracle, just like you. Every step of this journey has been worth it." Mia's eyes softened. "Sometimes I think about how far we've come, the doubts, the judgment. But all of it led us here. That's what matters." That evening, after tucking Noah into bed, Liam and Mia stood on their porch, watching the stars. The quiet hum of crickets surrounded them, a peaceful contrast to the whirlwind their lives had once been. "Mia," Liam said, his voice steady, "do you think people truly understood our story?" "Maybe not everyone," Mia admitted, "but we didn't share it to be understood. We shared it because it might help someone else." "And it has," Liam replied. "Our journey is proof that love and resilience can overcome anything." Mia smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "And as long as we have each other, we'll keep moving forward, together." Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey. Mia and Liam's story reminds us to choose compassion over judgment, to see the strength in others, and to believe in the power of love. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories like this one. Hit the bell icon so you'll never miss a video. Let's keep spreading kindness and understanding. Until next time, stay kind and stay inspired.